happy International Women's Month. I've been looking forward to this, you know, because last year I was not able to celebrate the Women's Month in reading because I was not really in a good headspace March of last year. So I celebrated it, but I read books for that celebration in April. I have read 4 books. I have selected books that have women's names on the title. 2 of those books I gave 5 stars to. Alani in the Distant Sea definitely made me want to read more of Erin and Chada Kelly, and My Dark Vanessa ended as one of my best books of 2022. Mrs. Dalloway I gave 4 stars to. Well, I was very impressed about that book. I annotated that book even. I don't know, it was kind of sluggish to get through, so a little bit of traumatizing. That's why it ended as the only classic that I've read for 2022. But yeah, I've learned that I really need to be prepared when I read classics. And Frankie ended as my least favorite, my most underwhelming, disappointing read of 2022. So my TBR in celebration of Women's Month last year was a mixed bag. And I thought that this year I'll be more intentional. By the way, it's just so funny to me because I realized that every single book that I've read so far in 2023 were all written by women. Hold on. My tea just arrived. Nevertheless, however, my selection of books for the Women's Month TBR is something that I've had in mind since last year, actually. Right. You've seen the thumbnail, and yes, I will admit, this is me succumbing to aesthetics. I won't ever diminish the pursuit of aesthetics because beauty in all forms to me is valid, and I know. I will allow myself to be shallow every once in a while. This is truly me making the most of what life has to offer, because this is not the edition that I wanted for My Brilliant Friend. I said that on the book haul video where I purchased this. I think that was last summer. I got this one because it's on sale at National Bookstore. And you know what? If there's anything stronger for me than the pursuit of aesthetics, is the pursuit of saving money. Yeah. Elena Ferrante is so well known and so loved, so critically acclaimed in the literary fiction circle. And there's a lot of strange things because I'm probably ignorant, but I've never heard of any literary fiction writer who has a series. Like, it usually comes in standalones, right? But this plot comes in a set of 4 books. So this is book 1 of that. And Elena Ferrante is popular for having this anonymous reputation because no one knows who she is. So I don't know. I've always considered it something like an international Bob Ong, but make it woman, you know? I mean, is that even her pronoun? I don't know. But yeah, there is a fandom, a very strong following for Elena Ferrante. So I'm very, very intrigued about why she's so loved. Another one that is so loved and so praised. I've come across so many bits and pieces of reviews, even though I was avoiding it. I accidentally stumbled upon quotes and previews of Sorrow and Bliss across the internet, and every single one of them made me so desperate to get a copy. So I can put into words the joy of finally scoring a copy of this the beginning of this year. This has been longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction last year, so this is fairly new. And how very fitting, right, for the Women's Month. It's got so much love from well-known and critically acclaimed writers as well, so. Expectations over the roof. Do I want both of his books to be 5 stars? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I want to. I hope so. But I think part of Women's Month is freedom, and I thought I wouldn't cage these books into those expectations, so I would just enjoy them and take them for what they are. If they're 5 stars, then excellent, but if not, I just know that I'll be enjoying one of these books. Anyways. Did I really color coordinated my outfit for these books? Yeah, sure. I got my tea, I got my books. Happy Women's Month indeed. Oh man, where do we even begin? Okay, first of all, I did say that I don't want to cage the books in this reading vlog into my expectations, right? But listen, there is a fine line between expectations and wants. I'm just thinking that it's still possible to crave for something even though you're not exactly pressuring something to be wildly groundbreaking, you know? So, expectations. I was not really setting this up on a pedestal to be some sort of masterpiece, but at the very least, I was hoping that I would, you know, bare minimum get a story about good women friendships, right? I mean, to be fair, when you have a book cover design like that and a title like this, so did I get a story about good women friendships? Here's what breaks my heart. The idea that for something to be considered realistic, it always has to be portrayed or depicted as ugly, toxic, negative. Is it not possible for healthy, life-affirming relationship dynamics to be considered a reality too? Does it not exist? Sure, this is book 1, childhood and adolescence, so yeah, it makes sense that they're acting juvenile and immature. Okay, I get it. But this is also me just being realistic as a reader, okay? If you are going to give me a tale where 90% of the friendship is just really ambiguous competition, a daily comparison contest about wins and losses between two girls, will I be dying to read book 2? This book really made me think a lot about what exactly is my definition is of a good friend. So I guess in that respect, we have to give credit where credit is due. Thank you for opening that conversation, my brilliant friend. Thank you, Elena Ferrante. Here's what I learned by myself when I asked myself this question as I was reading the chapters of this book. So let me just make it clear that this is all really just my subjective opinion as a reader and not really an objective review of the book, okay? Because 90% of the friendship here is everything that I do not want in a friend. Therefore, it made me think, what then for me is a good friend? How do I define a good friend? For me, a good friend is not just someone who loves and likes you, but also someone who makes you love and like yourself. And also someone who can make you love and like the world and life, maybe. This also made me revisit why exactly 2023 so far has been a good reading year for me, because a lot of the books that I have read feature a lot of really good women friendships. Literally, the first book that I've read this year features a pair of teenage best friends as well, which is really, really powerful and life-affirming. So there's that. This can be a bit of a spoiler, but a huge factor which made this Shallow Graves a 5-star book for me is because the female friendship played a really big role in the resolution of the mystery here. And of course, frog music. Oh, this is still so fresh to me. The women camaraderie here, spectacular. I will never forget. It's the kind of story that if it ever gets adapted into a film, the actresses who will play the two women here will compete for a Best Actress award because they're both really remarkable characters. And not just that, the recent media that I consume also feature good friendships, like, come on, 2521, K-drama, right? Did it not bring you to tears so many times? Also, is it a coincidence that the two best BL series from Thailand, at the heart of their story, are friendships? Bad Buddy and I Told Sunset About You. Come on. And of course, our very own Maria Clara and Ibarra literally reinvented, reshaped the landscape of Philippine television because, wow, it really introduced to us how the second female lead shouldn't always be a contrabida, that there can be friendship between the two main and secondary female lead. It's possible. But that is not to say that I'm giving up on this story. I will not close my door because although I won't probably be doing it immediately or in the near future, I still see myself continuing and finishing this series because these women are going to grow. And I still want to know how the rest of their lives are going to turn out. Also, I want to wrap up my review of this book by telling you my two favorite things about it. I think one of its best strengths are the side stories about the members of its community, the neighborhood that they grew up in, because it really explains to you components of their characteristics, their personalities, their behavior, the way they go on with their lives and decisions. It really provides a good picture of the circumstances that shape them. So Elena Ferrante really gave us a good insight to Italian culture and how it resembles a lot of society then and even now. And finally, that ending. That ending is one of the most gut-wrenching endings I've seen in a while. I just stared into space when I got to the very last page. I mean, the build-up, the last couple of chapters leading all the way to the end. My Brilliant Friend, 4 stars. And we're moving along to Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason. I'm so excited. I apologize, yet another disclaimer, but not to sound uber spiritual or religiously creepy or anything, but I thought for the longest time, since I devote so much of my time watching shows, dramas, anime, movies, listening to music, and reading books, of course, I've always thought that this is me trying to seek God's language in everything I can find in the world. So I've always deciphered, interpreted things like maybe this is God's way of talking to me when I learn something from books. The reason I'm talking about all this is because as I was reading Sorrow and Bliss, it's as if God was telling me, oh, I've heard you rant about My Brilliant Friend. I've heard you being heartbroken about it. So, okay, let me give you what you want. Let me give you what you need. Let me talk to you through this book. Clarification, that's not me claiming that I 100% identify with the protagonist of this book or what she's going through. No, I'm just saying that this is God's way of honoring what I am craving to read in a book. As I was reading Sorrow and Bliss, this had me picking up and revisiting Book Lovers, my best book of 2022, because a lot of this has a lot of things in conversation with the relationship dynamics here. This is not rom-com, okay? This is not a love story, but I just thought that with regards to the sibling family dynamics, a lot of this made me think about this. So that's another fantastic quality of 5-star books, I guess. Because 5-star books make you think a lot of books that you love in the past. They make you want to really revisit, remember parts about them that you learned a lot from, that you loved, that really broke your heart and pierced you in unforgettable ways. This is probably the reason there's a theme discussed here, which is also discussed here. A thriller, which made me give Truly Madly Guilty a 4-star rating instead of just a 3 or 3.5. This, I can say without question, is the most perfect portrait of mental health challenges that I have ever seen. I wouldn't change a thing. Every single page, every single chapter, every single sentence of this book, just the urge to always film or record something to read out to you the important parts is so overwhelming, but it's kind of pointless because I would end up recording every single thing about this book. It's also discussed here in Breast and Eggs, and I gave this one 5 stars and ended up becoming one of my top books of 2022. But another remarkable thing about Sorrow and Bliss is how it kind of made me go back and revisit my ratings of books. I won't change them, but it kind of altered my overall perception of the books that I've had issues about in the past. Like, for example, how I've given My Year of Rest and Relaxation 4 stars. And this couldn't be any more recent. Why I also gave My Brilliant Friend 4 stars. Why I never gave this books 5 stars. This made me ponder and really made me reflect if I'd been fair in giving those ratings to books. Because what Sorrow and Bliss gave me was a protagonist who's surrounded by really good people. Not all of them are good, but a lot of really good people who cared for her, supported her, given her so much love, you know, which not everyone has. That is also exactly the reason why this is such a standout for me, because it gave me a flawed character who is aware of everything that's wrong about her, and constantly thinking of how that issue with her is causing so much hardship to people around her. And the most striking of all is how she's constantly seeking for help. At the very first glimpses or the first moments in her life at such a very young age when she first felt it, she immediately told members of her family, and she has been upfront and straightforward to people around her about what she's feeling, And in the narration style that's on this book, she's also being so straightforward to us as readers, because she's so forthcoming. She's so open about telling us that I'm saying something opposite of what I really want. Let me read to you an example. I could honestly quote the entire book to you, but let me read to you something very early into the book. It's not really a spoiler or anything, but everything hurt. The soles of my feet, my chest, my heart, my lungs, my scalp, my knuckles, my cheekbones. It hurt to talk, to breathe, to cry, to eat, to read, to hear music, to be in a room with other people, and to be by myself. I stayed there for a long time, feeling the balcony move sometimes according to the wind. Normal people say, I can't imagine feeling so bad, I genuinely want to die. I do not try and explain that it isn't that you want to die, it is that you know you are not supposed to be alive, feeling a tiredness that powders your bones, a tiredness with so much fear. The unnatural fact of living is something you must eventually fix. This is the worst thing Patrick has ever said to me. Sometimes I wonder if you actually like being like this. Here are the reasons I went back inside. Because I did not want people to think my father was not a good parent. I did not want Ingrid to fail her exams. I did not want my mother to one day make art out of it. Martha, our protagonist, also had her share of not so good psychiatric care, but the moment that she encountered a doctor who's good at what he does, this is one of the things that really pierced me, and I think I'm gonna think about it for a long, long time. Okay, let me read it to you. What I'm most interested to know is what diagnosis you've given yourself, Martha. I paused as if I had to think about it. That I'm not good at being a person. I seem to find it more difficult to be alive than other people. Sorrow and Bliss, Meg Mason, really had me thinking, am I really going to have a monthly breakdown on something that I'm thinking would be my best book of the year? Is this really going to be a monthly thing? Because that is a gorgeous and delicious problem, by the way. I won't mind really having a monthly best book of the year situation happening. Because typically books that are really 5 stars, perfect for me, I still feel hesitant recommending them because I know that they would only appeal or be attractive to a group of people, a demographic. But this one, I don't care. I don't care. Go ahead and read this book once in your life. If not now, later on, someday, please give this book a chance. You should. You should. Please, I beg you. Read this book. Read this book. And it's a wrap. That's March for me. I still think this reading vlog is very, very satisfying, you know. We've got 4 stars and 5 stars, and I learned a lot from this book. I still think that I'm a better woman because of these books, which is always a fantastic feeling to have. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope your March has been amazing too. See you in April.